What's going on in social media check-in?
All right, our first one comes from Abraham in Ethiopia. He says that he got petitioned by a U.S. citizen woman, and they got married. They passed everything, but the age difference is significantly.
So the guy, so the embassy doesn't believe it's a real marriage because there's a big age difference.
Exactly. So they appealed because, they got denied for the age difference. Now, Abraham, like I said, is an Ethiopian, and they haven't heard anything else after appealing. And they said it's probably due to the COVID, but what other options do they have?
Number one, there is no appeal. So what happens is the petition gets sent back to immigration, and immigration has to issue what's called a notice of intent to deny, giving all the reasons they don't believe it's a real marriage. Then you have 30 days to respond to that notice of intent to deny, also known as a NOID. And then they send, if you answer that properly, they'll send it back to the U.S. Embassy for a second interview, and then your U.S. citizen spouse would have to come to Ethiopia, and they would give you a Stokes interview at the U.S. Embassy. The other choice is file a new I-130. Maybe that would be faster. Nobody says you can't file again, and then let the embassy know that your spouse is coming, and they'll give you a Stokes interview. But you're going to have to do a ratified marriage at one point or the other.
All right.
Next one comes from Be Nice Tabizi on Facebook. A friend of mine was denied and given 33 days to leave the U.S. Is there anything we can do to help?
I don't know enough. I would need to speak to him. I don't know what he was denied about. I don't know who's forcing him to leave.
All right, next one comes from Stargirl Mika on Facebook saying, after my mother gets her green card, can she go back to Jamaica to marry my stepfather and then apply for him to come here to the U.S.?
Absolutely.
All right, next one comes from Joy Serbo on YouTube. If my employer is willing to sponsor me, can I use the I-245 application for my adjustment of status?
No, it's an I-485, and you have to be in legal status or 245I eligible, or 245K, which means you haven't been out of status more than 180 days, so we need to know a lot more.
Okay, our next one comes from Michael U. James on YouTube, saying, if I was supposed to have my green card interview in April 2020, but it was postponed due to COVID-19, will USCIS send me a new interview date?
They absolutely will. Hang in there.
Okay, Jolie Palmer on YouTube. What is the significance of a priority date?
Priority date is the date your application was received by immigration, and they generally issue immigration benefits based on first in. So meaning if your priority date is January 1st, you're before somebody who filed February 1st or March 1st, depending on what category you're in.
Okay, next one comes from Kenny Sang on Instagram saying, is USCIS still issuing green cards or are they on hold?
They're still issuing green cards.
Meng Chang on YouTube asks, how can I rectify a misrepresentation made on my green card application?
Well, I think we spoke to Meng Chang on the phone, and his mother-in-law did actually misrepresent it, so you can't rectify it. You need a waiver, and we talked about the different waivers, and you can only get a waiver through your spouse or your parent if you're applying for a green card. You can do a non-immigrant visa, and I even told him about that as well, but you have to show what the benefit is to coming to America, and in his particular case, his mother-in-law was coming to take care of a child, which really doesn't benefit America.
All right, Catherine on Facebook saying, how long do I have to wait to apply for asylum once I've been in the U.S.?
Do it within a year or forever hold your peace.
Dadu on YouTube asks, can someone be deported if they are married can someone be deported if they are married and then denied to continue their affidavit and the beneficiary already has a green card?
All right, let's put that into our Facebook to English translator and say that one more time verbatim, and let me figure out what he's trying to ask.
We'll go back to that one. Anis on YouTube asks, can I bring my father-in-law to the U.S.?
Can you bring? Yeah, go. He can get on a plane himself. You can bring him any way you want. But if the question is, can you file for him? Can you get him a green card? Can you get him a visa? You can't get him a visa, but if you're his adult son or daughter, you can file a visa petition for him if you're a U.S. citizen, for sure.
Okay, Adrian Cross on IG saying, if my EAD expires in December 2020, when should I file for an extension?
4 months before.
The next one comes from Joan Washington on YouTube. How long does it take to get an I-130?
It depends who's sponsoring you.
Natalie Neves on YouTube saying, where in the world can you marry legally on a tourist visa?
Where in the world can you marry legally on a tourist visa?
Yes.
You're an American citizen, so you want to go meet your spouse in a third country right now and get married. There's not a lot of places you can meet. You can meet your spouse in the Caribbean. You can meet your spouse in Mexico. You can meet your spouse in Bora Bora, Dubai, Croatia. Most of, I think, Morocco is open. Turkey's open to Americans. It changes every day.
I see. Ben on Facebook asked, I received an EAD card with a gender error. Is this a big deal? Can I still use it to obtain my social security number and a job?
Well, if you're a man and you're going to go to Social Security and you're going to claim you're a woman, it's going to be like Austin Powers. You're a man, baby. You're a man. So you have to get it changed. Ask for a replacement.
Okay, DuPont Finance on YouTube saying, my husband filed for me 7 months ago and I'm here currently on a visitor's visa. Is there any way I can stay here and wait for the approval, or do I have to go back to my home country?
Well, if your husband's a U.S. citizen and you're here right now, file an adjustment. And if he's a resident and you're here legally and you're here more than 90 days, file an adjustment.
Okay, this one comes from Louis Martinelli on Facebook. If my VAWA petition was approved a month ago, what happens now?
You have to file an I-45 unless it's already filed.
Okay, Nova Samaj on YouTube saying, is it possible for a minor who is a resident to receive government benefits without it affecting immigration status of the parents?
A minor can receive benefits. It will not affect the poverty guidelines for parents.
Laverne Parker on YouTube asks, is there any news on interview dates that have happened canceled due to coronavirus pandemic?
Depends where you are. In New York, they're rescheduling them right now. People are getting interviews and they're getting very fast notifications, like 2, 3, 4 days notice, and boom, you're in.
Dave on YouTube saying, will the U.S. president lift the ban on visas earlier than December 31st date he initially declared? Yeah.
There it goes. I knew that's what was going to have the answer.
Magic 8 Ball. When we're getting down to asking Uncle Brad to read a pumpkin's
mind. In the midst of a pandemic.
In the midst of a pandemic. Will the pumpkin in the White House do anything about anything? Anything. I'm asking, will the pumpkin do anything about anything? And the answer is... My reply is no. I mean, really, this Magic 8 Ball knows what it's talking about. I don't think the pumpkin's going to do anything. We're going to do 2 more, guys.
Yeah. Samuel on Instagram asked, I don't have documentation of my vaccinations to include with my immigration forms. What should I write for the explanation?
What do you mean you don't have vaccinations?
He just writes, he doesn't have the documentation of his vaccinations to include.
Then you need to go to the doctor and get vaccinated. So your choice is give the doctor your vaccination card or do new vaccinations. Those are your choices. There's no anti-vaxxer. There's no anti-vaxxer waiver for immigrants. You either do it, you prove you either got the vaccine, or you do the vaccine, or you're not getting a green card.
Okay, we actually have that one from earlier, from Dadu, where you couldn't, we couldn't do it. So let's try and do that for the last one. Can someone be deported if they're married and someone else declined to continue their affidavit and the beneficiary already has a green card?
If the beneficiary has a green card, you cannot get deported because somebody withdraws an affidavit of support. Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.